welcome to Falcon's Ledge. I'm Austringer, and you are watching an unboxing and initial impressions video. Today we're going to be talking about the Winwing Orion Throttle system and the Winwing F18 grip. So without further ado, we will go ahead and get started. I apologize for the audio. I am recording this on my phone, so the first thing I will do is I have cut the seals, but I have not opened these yet. So inside the box we have another box, which is not unusual for foreign shipping or international shipping, I should say. We've got some nice branding on the box. Alright, so let's go ahead and see what's in the box. Alright, we'll set the box aside. We've got foam for protection and a warning label that I'm not going to read. And then we have the grip in here. The grip seems like it is packaged nicely, individually wrapped. So we'll grab these and we'll check the foam to make sure there's nothing else. Everything seems to be out of that. Packaging seems pretty good. So let's open. This looks like it is the left-hand grip. So it has a three-way switch on the outside, two buttons, and there's the connector. And this looks like the part where it actually connects in right there. They've got a little filler panel there. So yeah, the buttons. So this is my first experience, spending any reasonable amount of time with Winwing products. I mean, I've seen them before, but I haven't really got a lot of time to actually play with them. And this, the buttons have a nice tactile click to them. That's really nice. And the switch here, so on the Warthog, this was one of my pet peeves, is that because there is not a lot of room in the side of the throttle handle here, the Warthog uses a very low quality, very small switch. And because of that, it's very soft feeling and doesn't have a consistent feel with the other switches on the stick, but this one does. It feels really good. So yeah, this feels great. Let's look at the other one. I'll put this here. I'll have to keep refocusing because it wants to focus on the table itself or whatever. If there's dog sounds in the background, I'm sorry. Get rid of the bag. Alright, so this is the inner part of the grip. And so it has a 5-way there. 5-way there. Now, the 5 ways, there's a 2-way switch, so that's your air brake switch. Push it forward and lock it, that closes everything down. Then you pull until you want it. Yeah, it's great. Instantaneous switch there. So one thing about the Winwing hat switches is that there's some squish here. So when you push this thing, you feel some squish before the click, but that squish isn't always a bad thing because you feel that tension and then you feel the tactile switch. That feels really good. And analog with click, that is just, it's just what you're going to find on Xbox controller, or it's the same thing as the analog switches on the VKB products and things like that. Now this is an interesting one because I haven't had one of these on any of the throttles that I've had, where it's not an encoder, but it's an axis with a center. So that's going to be for radar elevation, I believe. So yeah, that's them together. They have a really nice feel to them. They're fairly hefty, but remember, weight is not always a direct correlation with quality. but, you know, it can help, especially when they're made of good materials. But that's one reason why people oftentimes will pick, if they have the option, and these are not when these are present, but with other sticks, they'll pick the Warthog because it's heavy. Well, the Warthog's not a bad stick, but this is better. I'll tell you that right now. I can make that judgment right now. And in terms of these grips, those grips are better than the Warthog grips. So let's open the big chungus here. Again, same as before, box in a box, and I'm going to flip this over. Again, has some pretty good branding here. And since I don't read Chinese, or Mandarin, I should say, I'm not gonna try. And this one, I like that they have contents of the box here that tells you, hey, you know, this is what's in this box. This is the base, the mounting kits, the cables, the tools pack, and the manual. Enough staring though, let's get into it. All right, so we have a USB cable. And it's interesting. I do like to look at the cables that come with stuff like this, because it kind of gives you a clue into the level of quality that you're dealing with, because cheap stuff will always come with a very El Cheapo cable. This is not too bad. It's not the best, not the worst. If you want something really nice, they have gold-plated ones and stuff if you're into the super fancy. A couple of Allen wrenches. A warning that I'm not going to read. The same kind of nice thick foam. That's important. You're shipping these things across the world. You've got to have good shipping, otherwise stuff gets broken. And so far, packing materials have been good. These are probably the adapters to connect the generic base here. Goodness, had a gimbal die and a phone call interrupt. So yeah, let's get this out of here and take a look at it. So I think there's a couple of foam pieces that have to come out here, it looks like. Well, let's reach in and pull this sucker out. You know, immediately I can say that it is lighter than the Warthog throttle. So let's go over some of the switches that it has. Here we have an encoder, another encoder, and a third encoder, and these each have a push button on them. Here we have a 3-position switch, and I believe that these are on, off, on switches. And this is also a 3-position switch, push button with a nice tactile feedback. Another 3-position switch. Another push button, nice tactile feedback there too. We have a rotary button here with push button, an encoder. Another push button here. That one kind of had a different feel for a moment. All right. And we have 2 push buttons here. I believe these are lighted as well. Here we have the 2 throttle axis, and these are the data cables. These are the same kind of data cables that VKB uses on their Gunfighter. And this is where we adjust friction for the joystick, or for the throttle. These are 2 axis with a center detent. And these feel really good. They aren't too easy to push, and they aren't too hard to push, and the detent has a nice feel to it that you can both hear and, more importantly, feel. Because I don't know about you guys, but when I fly, I wear headphones, so I can't always hear a detent, but when you're pushing it and it stops and it requires additional force to push, that's a good feeling. Both of them feel really good. We've got a 3-position switch here. The nice thing is that even when in VR, You can tell the difference between these switches here and this switch here. It has a different feel to it. And this one, they've got it set up for a flap, which is why it has a different feel to it, is because if you were using your flaps, you would want to make sure that you didn't come over here and flip any of these other switches. These are 2 position switches. Also, nice feel to them. And then we have a selector here. So all of those feel great. If we want to take a look at the end, we have a USB. Got some labeling there, and then on the bottom we have screws for access, and we have our mounting holes along here. So let's get this thing set up. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get this assembled here. Oh, let me adjust. There we are. Move this centered. Beautiful. All right, we're going to go ahead and get this set up here. I've got my right hand throttle lever, or grip rather, and we are going to go ahead and take off this cover. We will set these screws aside. Here's the cover. We're going to take the right hand lever. We're going to install the lever extension, or the grip extension here. I'm not going to tighten it extremely tight yet, just enough for it to be snug. Something I learned working on cars, I always try to finger tight it as far as I can before I apply any kind of tool to it, because it avoids things like cross-threading, because your fingers can feel that a lot better than your tool can. So we have that one set up, and this will sit right here. Okay. Actually, I believe that's going to go on the inside. You can see that it has beveling for the screws. Okay. And this locking mechanism for the sticks will go on one side there. Okay. Okay, now that we've installed our mechanism here, do that by unscrewing this little lever here, and then pulling the. You don't actually have to pull the plunger out. Okay, and then the right hand stick will go over that lockout there, and then will be secured with screws here. With these, because I've got to hold it in place, I'll start this with the Allen wrench, and again we're just going to snug it up here. another one of these and not drop it inside the throttle, please. Yeah, that would not be good. Just so you can see how this will work, is you will just like that. Then you can flip it down, up and out and down, just like that. Okay, we want one more. Now we're going to make sure that these all seat properly, and we'll just kind of snug them down. Okay. Move that out of the way. We will bring this forward here, and I'm actually going to rotate the whole device here so that we can access that properly. Once again. I didn't see a manual in there. I assume that there's... Sorry, somebody needed to get a hold of me about my car's extended warranty. Alright, so we're going to continue taking this screw out. And if you feel it biting, just reverse the direction of your turn and then go forward again, just so you can feel it going in without a lot of resistance, because the last thing in the world you want is a lot of resistance when you're threading something in. I'm sure that most of you know all this stuff, but for those of you who don't, I might as well help out how I can. And I've screwed plenty of things up bad enough working on cars to know that a little bit of technique goes a long way. All right, so we're going to be mounting it here like this. Something I'm really excited about with this this throttle is the fact that it can be made into a collective, and I am very excited for the DCS Apache module. So I don't have a collective yet. I'm hoping that I can get one soon. Yeah, I didn't want that to happen. Luckily it didn't go inside. Otherwise we would have been really exploring this throttle. Yeah, I'm really excited for DCS Apache. It is one of the modules that was a absolute must buy for me. And I plan on playing the heck out of it. Alright, got these tightened down sufficiently. Let's just get that extra 1/8 of a turn to get them snug. Never crank too hard on these sort of things though. And then we're going to come down here and we are going to connect our connectors, our cables. And they do have a locator notch, so they should only be able to be plugged in one way. And I'm going to look real quick to see where that is. It is facing forward. So there's the locator notch here. You can see it. So let's plug that in, tighten down the collar. Okay, so now they're in. We can feel the axis. The axis is smooth. It's going to be nice when I have it mounted. So there's a clicky detent going in and out there. So we are going to lock them together. At this point I was dealing with an issue where the plunger for the Axis Connect was not going into the receptacle on the left stick. It goes in, but it requires quite a bit of force. This might be intentional so that the joint doesn't become loose too quickly. Alright, so I'll go over first impressions here in a few minutes. I will get this all hooked up and mounted. I don't have the proper mounting system for it, so it's something I'm just going to have to wing it. Oh, if you want to use these, they're very simple. It's a little nut on it, and these go through the holes here, which are the same mounting holes as the Warthog, but this actually has a few other mounting holes if you want to use them. You can see those. But yeah, that's that. That's how it's assembled, and I will be right back for the first impressions. I'm not sure exactly what's going on here, but this is how it spawned. It's an alpha, I guess, right?
202 for 100.
So it was pretty challenging for me to get some video for this one, because things just kept going wrong. But finally got some, flying the A10, and you know, the throttle feels great. The axis feels nice and smooth. I did have to do some adjusting on the friction clutches there. Typically I do like a more high friction throttle feel, but the one complaint I have so far is that when you tighten the clutches down a bit tighter so that there's more friction, it feels a little bit more catchy. So the movement isn't always smooth. So when you're adjusting your hand in formation or while refueling or when approaching the carrier, it just feels like it's just jumping up and down a little bit more. Now, that may wear in. That's why when I do a full review, I test it for an entire month to kind of let things wear in and kind of allow them to develop into what they'll be for most of their lifespan. In addition, it might just require a little bit of lubrication, but that is something that I've observed so far. The slew on it, I like to add some curvature to that, to those axes, because they tend to be, of course, obviously they're going to be linear if you're not adding curves to it, but it tends to be a little bit extra sensitive, particularly in the center, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's not difficult to add curves to an axis, so that's pretty good. I'm using a lot of the switches for what they're labeled as being, like your landing gear, like your flaps and things like that. I do find them sometimes a little annoying to reach forward, especially if I'm at full throttle and I'm reaching forward to change the switches or the flaps or whatnot. But again, the switches feel wonderful. I'm really happy with how those feel. the ASUS. I did use that in Star Citizen some, though you're not seeing me use it here in the A10 video. I did use that, and they feel good. They work wonderful for what they are. All in all, I'm really quite happy with the throttle so far. And I gotta say, I really like the feel of the hat switches on this thing. They are wonderful. Probably the nicest feeling hat switches that I've ever used. So that's a pretty big compliment, Winwing. I would really love to test out their stick, the Orion stick, but you know, I already have a Gunfighter, so I didn't want to pay for the Orion stick. Maybe sometime Winwing will send it to me, so I can test the entire HOTAS. That would be great. But yeah, so this thing is doing pretty good. I will definitely do a full review on it in about a month. Sometimes I take a little bit of extra time depending on how much time I get to spend with it.
Pull up.
I'm going to be doing a couple of new videos here soon. I've got one that is comparing HOTAS with HOSAS, and I am also doing one that is going to talk about creating your own layouts for these different stick types. Because, look, my layouts probably aren't that incredible. Quite frankly, in DCS, I don't have hours and hours and hours of building these things. I usually spend some of my time each time playing, adding in new functionality, going, oh, I don't have the ability to do this. I probably ought to add it. But, and in Star Citizen, it's just, I don't really want to create like a permanent, fully fledged layout until all of the functionality is in game. For example, I want to be able to assign more than one axis to the same function. That's particularly important for my setup because I use dual stick and throttle. But right now I do have kind of a layout that I use for that, and I'll talk about it.
altitude. Pull up. Pull up. Altitude.
But yeah, hey, remember that I am going to be giving away a $70 Star Citizen package or a DCS module. And that's coming up really soon. We're almost to 1,000 subscribers. So hey, subscribe and you might win a ship. All you got to do is leave a comment in the comment section down below. And when I get to 1,000 subs, I will pick a random comment from a random video from now back until the beginning of the year. And that person will get a module or a ship. It'll be awesome. But anyway, yeah, lots of cool stuff coming. Stay tuned to the channel. Leave a comment in the comment section down below because I do try to respond to every single one of them. And I hope you all have a great day.